Welcome to Soul Hugs and welcome to this next episode. And as I mentioned 2 episodes before, that the next one, so last one's with Jacob about men's mental health, and this one will be very important to me and very close to my heart. We finally got to today's episode. And I actually don't know how to name this episode. I don't know how I should do the intro, what I'm going to talk about, what will the topic be. But in today's episode, I will let you know how I felt in the last few weeks and still feel. Yeah, we will jump into it. This feeling is not a new feeling. I actually just realized how hard it is to talk about it because it's very hard to describe it, but it's very hard to find a starting point. I think I will just start how I told Jacob, because he's one of my closest friends here, and one of the people who understand how I feel and how I think, because we're very similar. He just gets me. It's like weird to describe because I don't need advice or an opinion. I just need someone to listen, and I just need someone that can feel or imagine how I feel. Yeah, Jacob is definitely one of those people. I met him on the Sunday. I was at home when I messaged him and I was really down. And I actually didn't expect it that he will answer that fast, or that we will definitely, that we will catch up on the same day. The friend I mentioned in our men's mental health episode, we were really close, but I was so used to message him and not getting a response for days or even weeks. That's why I'm so easy with that kind of topic, which doesn't mean that it is forgiven to do that. Obviously, it depends on the situation. It depends. I basically grew up in a friendship not expecting anything, or sitting there in my feeling and not being able to call someone, or just to drive to someone's house and just be. So yeah, and that's what I'm longing for sure. That's what I wish to find at some point. But yeah, going back, so I messaged Jacob and he responded really quickly. So we catched up, and even when we met, it was hard for me to start. It was hard to describe it, but that was, I think, the second week when it started to be sunny. It started to be spring, and what I really appreciate from here is that you can actually see the change, a really present change, and that's really beautiful to see. It's springtime now, the sun is out, everyone's mood is so much better, everyone smiles, everyone is happy. Sunlight has such a big impact, such a big influence. So obviously the first week when the weather was really good, bluebird sky, sun was shining, obviously I was really happy and my mood was very high, very good. But in this week, so we met on Sunday, in this week I woke up looking out of the window and thinking, Whistler is really not my place. It is really not. I miss my time in Australia. I miss Australia so much. But on the same morning, I saw a story of a friend of mine that is in Australia right now. I think it was in Byron Bay. With the lighthouse, you could see the ocean. So it was really peaceful and very nice. But at the same time, the feeling I had when I saw the picture was the same that I had when I was in New Zealand. If you remember, I mentioned how my time in New Zealand was in, I think, one of the first episodes. When I got to New Zealand, I was happy and keen to change the way I was traveling, to not have the focus too much on independence and freedom. So I was happy to take some people with me, or to travel with people to experience things together. That was the main thought I had, to experience things together, to collect memories. And then it never happened. But I still traveled by the end of my year. So I left Raglan and I was super keen. When I left Raglan, I was super keen to travel. I'm now's the time. It feels right. And all in all, I think I traveled only 1.5 months in total in a row. But that was for myself. That is enough. That is way enough, especially if I travel alone, because I'm so overstimulated by the end of 6 weeks. And especially like deciding where you want to go, deciding when you start driving, deciding where you're going to sleep, deciding what you want to see, driving the whole time, and deciding everything every single time, every single morning or every single night. It is just exhausting. It is really exhausting. Yeah, by the end of my travels in New Zealand, I had my list with the places I want to see. By the end, it was basically just driving to the next point, checking it off the list, going back to the car, continuing driving, and that on repeat the whole time. It made me so sad knowing that and acknowledging that the whole traveling alone and being alone took away the magic of solo traveling, of traveling in general. And I couldn't gain any fulfillment from this anymore. When I saw the story on this morning, it was Australia. It was such a pretty picture, but the feeling and emotion I had was exactly how I felt in New Zealand. So I realized that's the ground feeling. What I feel right now is like the simple feeling of loneliness. It doesn't fucking matter where I will be. If I would be in Australia or if I would be in Europe, if I would be here, it doesn't fucking matter, because the feeling I have will remain. Just thinking about leaving or going somewhere else, it wouldn't fucking matter, because it wouldn't change how I feel right now. Lonely. Like the simple feeling of loneliness and doing things by myself, doing things alone. The loneliness of doing things alone, feeling things. I don't gain any fulfillment of being alone anymore. Not at all. It feels like that I just exist until people come into my life, or until I find the people or the connections I'm longing for. Don't get me wrong, there's such a fulfillment of being alone and experiencing things alone and doing things alone, but in a certain amount. And I definitely took it too far. Not necessarily that it is my fault, but I just have an expectation of the way I want to live my life. I have an expectation of what I want from a person, what I want from a connection. Not necessarily that I don't build connections at all, if that's not the case. I do, but they don't fulfill me, if that makes sense. It was really hard on this day, so I was writing in my book because I was like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to feel. I tried to sort myself out before I was going to talk to someone, because I expected to not have someone to talk to that quickly, like Jacob. We catched up and we spoke about it. It was so hard for me to start, so I told him about like how I woke up, the feeling, the story, how I felt. It's just that I'm so fucking over of being alone. And obviously, unfortunately, I can't bake my dream person, and I'm not a person that wants to force any connection. I really want to build connections that happen organically. I felt very helpless, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if like Whistler was the reason, which I don't believe, or if it's me. And because Jacob was like, okay, enough, maybe Whistler is not for you. And he actually said as well that I'm too good to be in Whistler, whatever he meant with that. I think it's more about, in general, like most of the people here, their first priority is not to build a true connection or a deep connection. Most of the people are here to have a good time, which is completely fair. I cried as well, again. I had tears in my eyes, and maybe I lost 2 tears or something. And like Jacob kept like hugging me, and I was like, look, I'm actually fine. I think it's okay. In terms of like the crying, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I think I'm done. But like, it actually unfortunately didn't felt lighter, or it didn't felt relieving. Or did it? Not too sure. I think a bit, I think a tiny bit. But obviously for the reason that I can't cry like constantly, if then maybe only like a few tears, it doesn't feel that relieving how I have it in my memory when I was like younger. And Jacob was like, maybe it is not your place. And yeah, I agree, but I also disagree. Yeah, maybe it is really not my place, but it can be my place, because I know I experienced that I can be happy. It doesn't matter where I am. The happiness comes from within. And of course, like, the surrounding has an influence on like how you go through your day and like everything. And I think that's my point, because I don't have enough energy anymore to not be influenced by my surrounding and to like gain my happiness from within. I can, but it's at this point it takes a lot of energy and it is just exhausting. Like, I don't know how many times I mentioned it so far. I'm actually not sure if I ever mentioned it in a podcast, but I don't have a reason to stay here. Not at all. Even that I have great opportunities and that I have a place that I love to live in. But I also don't have a reason to leave. And that is very tricky, because I've never experienced that. I've never felt that before. And I thought about it, I actually like a few times. I was like, is that the reason? Is it because I also don't know what next, or like where to go after? Or maybe I'm also like one of the lost souls I was talking about. But the thing is, I know what I want to do after Canada. I know where I want to go. I know what I want to experience. But everything includes traveling. And I'm not done with traveling, but I'm done with solo traveling. And my plan was to travel through Canada mid of May till mid of June. And it was already like set and sorted with work and everything. I just basically also bought a car just for the road trip and like for summer. But after I got the car, I was like, I'm so fucking over it. I don't want to. I want to see Canada, but not alone, because I know how it will be. It will be the same as in New Zealand. I will have my list. I will start driving. I will see one of the things. I will do the hike. We'll go back to my car and continue driving. And I don't want that. How I felt when Jacob and I catched up was, it felt like that I have to find myself again, as I had to when we had COVID, because I just got out of the retreat and I had loads of time. And obviously during COVID, couldn't meet other people. So it was really isolating. And that's exactly how I felt on this one Sunday. I was like, it feels like that I have to find myself again, as I had to back in the COVID year. Finding fulfillment, finding things I love doing, finding the spark in being alone. That's the thing, like, I want to socialize. There was like so much going on in Whistler. There was like a slush cup and a few other things. And I was like, I want to socialize. I really do. But like every time I would go to an event where loads of people are, I feel like my 15-year-old, so like shy and overwhelmed of like the amount of people, which I'm not used to feeling that way at all. Like, especially in the last few years, I was like, I didn't care about knowing someone where I go or being on a big event by myself. Like I went to clubs by myself. I went to concerts by myself. I went on festivals by myself. Like I'm pretty confident and happy to do it. But like here in Whistler, it feels so much more intimidating, and it feels just wrong, kind of. It just feels weird, and I just feeling uncomfortable in the crowd. You feel so exposed. Even that, like I think I'm not that known in Whistler, which I really enjoy, being anonymous. That's what I love about big cities. You walk through the city and no one knows you, and like you are anonymous and you can do whatever you want. You can dance through the streets, you can like sing out loud, it doesn't fucking matter. Yeah, just like Whistler feels very, I don't know. And I feel like especially in Whistler you need at least one person that feels like an anchor, one person that is your comfort person, with whom you can do things or go on events, to have like at least someone to grab. And doing stuff here on your own feels like so much more effort. For example, before I met Jacob, before he responded, I thought about going to the lake, but at the same time I was like, that will be a fucking journey, like catching the bus. And like that's the thing, like normally of course like having a car gives you so much more freedom, but like Whistler is not that big, so like even a bus ride is normally not a thing. Well, everything feels like so much more effort, and it makes it hard if you have to motivate yourself on and on. Also, like in terms of like our conversation, I can't be bothered to put any energy into meeting people anymore. It's not that I don't do it, but like I'm just so exhausted. I'm just so tired of it. It's such a weird feeling because it's really hard to describe, but I feel it. So yeah, that was the down part. And after speaking to Jacob, I definitely felt better. It's weird to describe. The feeling is there, and it is a constant present feeling, and it won't change much. I have some better days. I don't have bad days, but I have a lot of neutral days. And if I have neutral days, it's basically ground feeling, the lowest feeling I have right now. That's one of the neutral days. It feels like I'm just existing, and that's not nice. The reason why I'm longing so much for going back to Australia is because of the feeling I had, how I felt so alive. And the sun obviously makes such a big difference. Like I was chasing the sun around Australia all the time, the whole year, and I did the same in New Zealand. That being said, and that being very depressing probably, I wouldn't even describe it as a low, like the very constant and neutral present feeling. I had this for like 2 days, which is like not that long actually. And then that's how I go through hard times in like situations or feelings like this. Like I acknowledge it, I feel it, and it is maybe hard, but like after 2 days in that case, I gained so much motivation, kind of like changing my perspective and like changing where I want to put my energy in. So like I was so motivated, and like I turned everything around and was like, I'm gonna go to the gym again and I'm gonna be active again, especially like now in summer. That helped me a lot, especially like sports in general. I always find motivation, that's my way to like pull myself out of the hole. And yeah, so that was one good thing at least. A week ago I was at the lake writing in my book again. That was the time I decided to like not go on my travels. That was my first feeling, but I like still try to keep the option open. I was like, maybe, let's see. And like I know there are like solutions for everything. I can easily find someone, especially now that I have a car. That's the other thing I mentioned. I don't have any energy. I don't. And I really want to travel with someone I get along with, where I know I can leave this person by themselves maybe for 4 hours, and this person doesn't feel that I leave them alone. Because I don't want to let someone feel that way. It's just the fact that I need my time to process things as well, to have like a bit of mindfulness during my travels. After that, I was like laying in the grass to like remind myself where there were clouds in the sky. So I was staring in the sky and I was like, I think I should message my therapist again, because it feels like I can't help myself anymore. I've tried, and I actually thought about it a few times messaging her, but every time I was like, nah, I will like try to figure it out, like suss it out for myself first before I message her. Because like I always think about oh, tomorrow will be a new day. I see how it goes. That's like how I do it. No, not necessarily. I'm very solution orientated. Like I always try to find a solution to change things to make it better. But like at this stage, it felt like I can't help myself anymore. And it feels like I'm stuck in this perspective. Not perspective, but in this feeling. And I know there's solutions for everything. And they are solutions in my case. But all the solutions are not my solutions. Yeah, so I messaged her on that day and we had a call last Friday. It was really nice to talk to her. She knows me since I'm 12 maybe, so she knows me for like such a long time and she knows me pretty well. She feels me so much because like we're so similar. I'm happy to have her. We spoke about how I got here, how I felt like the first time, what I mentioned in the podcast as well, and how I feel right now. Everything she said was basically what I already did, what I already tried, or what I already thought. It didn't help in terms of like doing the next step. It was more like a reassurance. It was a reminder again that even if I'm at my lowest and even if I feel very helpless or don't know what to do, I still do the right things and I still think the right things. The conclusion I got to after the conversation with Jacob and after feeling that was like, I think I just have to sit it out. Like that's a feeling I can't change. There's nothing I can do or nothing I can change. There's no solution for me right now. And the only thing I can truly do is to like just sit it out. And it is exhausting. But like one thing she said was that she thinks I'm very close. I'm very close to whatever that is, whatever that might be. Not that she like spoke about it in terms of like something. And also not in terms of like something will happen or whatever. Like we don't know what it is or what it will be, but she felt like that I'm close. So I'm like, that's nice to hear. And like honestly, like by the end of the day, what else can I do? What else can I do? Nothing. And sometimes that's the case. Sometimes you can't do anything, and that is fine. Doesn't mean that it is easy. Definitely not. I think that's the worst if you only can sit it out. I think like that's a situation where you can't recommend anything. I think it's feeling it and going through it. Now it feels like there's nothing lower than that. There's nothing else under this feeling. There's nothing more. That's the lowest. That's the ground. That's how it feels. But I also think it could be worse. It could feel worse. So that's fine, I think. And one thing I want to mention, that's probably also not best motivation, but like I saw a video the other day. When you choose yourself, everyone around you chooses you. And sorry to say that, but fuck no. Because if you start choosing yourself, you start healing. When you're healed, that's my experience. It is so hard to find people who can handle this. If you choose yourself, everyone around you chooses you. Fuck no. It is not true. Maybe it is for some people. Maybe it is in some cases. That's a fact. You grow so much. You get to know yourself so good. You know what you want. You know what you expect. And as soon as you are very independent yourself, a lot of people feel intimidated by this presence. And by the end of the day, everyone chooses themselves. It's not that anyone chooses you over themselves. But like one thing my therapist said, what I can try is to imagine how it will be if I could leave and where I would leave to, what I would be looking for in this place and what I would miss from Whistler. First point was not really possible for me. Second point would be the exact same, what I do here. So it doesn't matter where I will be. And the third point of like what I would miss from Whistler is hard to answer because it feels like I'm too present here in Whistler. It will be easier if time passed and you can look back and say, oh, that's actually something I missed. That's actually something I appreciated, but I didn't appreciate it in the moment. That's the same with like me in Perth, me in Fremantle. I had such a hard time there. The reason I left, or like why I left, was because I thought it is the right place but not the right time. But like now looking back, even that I had so many struggles, I have only good memories to this place. And I remember just the feeling, how I felt there. And it's weird because I felt like way better in like some other places. That's something you can't control. So that's the beauty in life. After the call, I messaged her again because I wasn't sure if it came across the right way, how I perceive Whistler and how Whistler is. Because that's the thing, it is nearly impossible to describe Whistler to people who've never been here or to people who don't know Whistler. Because Whistler is a feeling, and the feeling is very hard to put into words. It's very hard to describe. I wasn't sure if Whistler is the right place for me to settle. Not like 100% settle, but like just for the next year or two. So I messaged her again saying I'm not too sure. I don't know if Whistler is the place for me then. But like I also said, I don't know if I like maybe didn't try it hard enough. And Jacob was like, oh, fuck off. I really appreciate that. He was like, you tried you here. Because I'm not willing to be someone else. I'm not willing to do things I don't enjoy. I'm not willing to try to be someone I'm not. Just because of the sake of meeting people. Because it wouldn't be right. The people wouldn't meet me as the person I am. And that's not how I do things. And he also said that he thinks that I'm, from like all the people he knows, I'm the person that is maybe a bit too much in the present. Which like I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. That was it with this episode. Unfortunately, there's like no good thing to say for the end. It is just sharing how I feel right now and how I am. So for everyone who asks me how I am, that is really hard to describe. Do you really want to know? Do you have time? I could like say it in a sentence. I feel truly alone. Done. There's no solution. Just have to sit it out. I know it will pass. I know I will go through it. Yeah, I'm very happy for the other side.